Hey, hey, hey. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I am so glad y'all are here. If you didn't get the warning, I am absolutely going to be talking about the local election, the school board election in Kansas City. So if you're tired of hearing about that from me, this is your beautiful, lovely, graceful warning that that's what I'm going to be talking about today. This week I'm just full of joy, which is interesting because Um, last week, I think I lost 100 racks. Not I think. Last week, I lost 100 racks. Um, so fascinating to be in these interesting times that are happening at the national level and still being able to have joy. But it is certainly because I made my way to worship on Sunday because I was not going to go. And when I did go, I slid in the back, wasn't really trying to talk to nobody because, there's a decent number of people at my church who believe that whoever's in the White House doesn't matter. There's a decent number of people at my church that believe if you got Jesus, you don't need nothing else. And I tend to be one of those people who embrace pretty strongly the sentiment of Dr. Daniel Black, who says we better start praying with our eyes open. I'm one of those. But child, Saturday before um, I had gotten a request from the members of Brandy's church over there at the Mount, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna celebrate the First Lady." And if you don't know, Brandy is my childhood friend since we were 11, and we went to middle school, high school, undergrad together. We interned together, so we even worked together for a little bit. We were roommates in high school. Like this, that's my best friend. Now she probably got lots of people think she's her best friend, but she's absolutely my best friend. And what I just remember thinking when I saw her on Saturday, this woman is just salt of the earth, true blue, just amazing. Which then takes me to Tanisha, who is also just one of my best friends. She just, again, just a sweet person. She ain't really never gonna say nothing bad about nobody. Just funny, just you ain't gonna see her name, when she running for public office. You ain't gonna see no scandals about her in the paper because she's just amazing, right? And interestingly enough, we are new friends. Her husband, I've actually known since I was 11. David and I also went to middle school together and high school together and undergrad together. So me, Brandy, and David are all engineers. He's an architectural engineer, but Brandy and I, chemical engineers. And um, when David and Tanisha got married, in fact, I was one of David's very few guests at the wedding. And I keep saying, I tell this story that Tanisha wasn't all that excited about me when she first met me, but when we both joined the Links Incorporated, Tanisha became my friend instead of David, actually. And these two women, Brandy Lane, actually, of Brandy Thornton, and Tanisha Nooner, Terry Nooner's little sister, actually Tanisha Ford, are just beautiful depictions of what it looks like to just be born with empathy, to just have it. And it makes me wonder about like what was Peter's real experience like walking around with Jesus? Because that's how I feel, right? Like I'm not that. And I often wonder, is there space more broadly for us to be dissimilar? Because while we have drastic differences between us, we are absolutely amazing friends. Like I am nothing like either one of them really, and we still manage to be friends. And I think it works really well when you got somebody running for a school board election who is salt of the earth, just a good person. Because this is important. She called me one day, and she had both her heads in her hand. It's this Tanisha. She got both her heads in her hand, her head in both her hands, and she looked like she about to cry. And she says, "I'm overwhelmed and I'm exhausted." But what if you back up a couple of months before, she told me that God told her that she should run again. And I asked her, "Okay, I get what God told you. I'm one of those people like, okay, God told you, but okay, tell me more." So she tells me that she believes the continuity on the board would be helpful because if the bond passes, she and Rita Cortez were chair and co-chair, and that it took her 4 years to really get a good sense of what was going on with the board. They have a good relationship, working relationship with the school superintendent. APR scores were up, graduation rates were up. And she was like, I just want to be able to continue this work and be able to pass it off in a good way. And at the time, she did not know she was going to have an opponent. All right. This is months before. I said, all right, so we running for reelection. But what you need to know is that that first time she ran for school board, she was running against the Patty Manser. Like everybody liked Patty Manser. And everybody liked Patty Manser's husband, and while people knew Tanisha at the Kaufman Foundation, that was not really helpful. People were calling it dark money and coming and attacking her. There were Black political officials who were like, no, she's against public schools. She's the ops. And again, Tanisha and Brandy are more of this salt of the earth kind of people. Now, I don't like people folks talking about me neither, but the reaction is different. I don't I don't take it in and feel overwhelmed. I do this. Walk over, limp back. And again, how was Peter able to walk around with Jesus and feel worthy? Because I know most of the time I'm sitting around thinking, I mean, is there space for someone like me who is a green orange personality type, who is more logical, reasonable, questioning? I'm going, like this empathy thing is a daily practice, like, is there space for folks like me? Because I'm looking at the likes of even David, Brandy, Tanisha, and I'm just like, oh, these are just great people, right? Just beautiful souls. Like, what in the world we gonna do with somebody like me? But she tells me she wants to run again, even after all of that. She had lost a ton of weight. She was super stressed. She was overwhelmed, all the things. And then she tells me she wants to do it again. And I'm like, okay, you pray, God told you, but again? So she's like, yeah, I want to do it again. She tells me the 2 or 3 reasons why. Again, we did not know she was going to have an opponent. Um, After about a month, we learned that she's likely going to have an opponent. And don't nobody know who this person is, right? Like, I listen, I've lived in Kansas City my whole life, but I lots of people don't know me and I don't know them either. So it ain't no big deal that I don't know who this person is, but I'm like, okay, so does he have children in the district? No, not a big deal. Rita does not have children. She certainly does not have, therefore, does not have children in district. Okay, so he running citywide. Yeah, okay. So you gonna run for a citywide race when you ain't from here? Okay. Well, how long you been here? 3, 4 years. Came during the pandemic. Okay. Well, what did he do before? Can't find no information. All right. So this for me feels odd. Okay, it just feels odd. Then I learned that I see this dude every week at the KC 360 anti-homicide meetings, right? So again, I'm usually late to those meetings. I don't see the introductions, so I still don't know much about this person. Well, looky here. Looky here. Looky here. Tanisha calls me. She got her head in her hands. And when she got an opponent, which means now she got to raise all this money. Now she got to go to all these things. But if I didn't mention, Tanisha, Brandy, and Tanisha's husband, David, are all introverts. In fact, almost all of my friends are incredibly introverted. They almost all are all just incredibly empathetic and kind too. And again, takes me back to, is there room for the people like the Peters, like the me's, right? Because every time I think about my first thought, if I tell them, I know they secretly judging it. Now they don't outwardly judge it because again, they salt to the earth kind of people, but inwardly, I know they going, good Lord, this woman is probably, sometimes they probably think I'm violent. I've been doing this nonviolent communication class from the online. It's helping quite a bit. I know what empathy says I'm supposed to do when she got her head in her hands. And so I say, what you feeling right now? She says overwhelmed. Now the truth is the word overwhelmed, it just irritates my whole soul. Like I can't even stand the word. But I've been doing this empathy thing since 2022, so I knew not to say that. So I affirmed her feelings. You feel overwhelmed? She said yes. And then I just don't even know what happened. And everybody should know this. Whoever calls me to ask me for help reaching your goals, don't expect empathy revolutionary. And if you do expect empathy revolutionary, don't expect just the emotional empathy revolutionary. You need to expect hostage negotiator empathy revolutionary, because and I think this gets me in trouble, and this is why I wonder, is there space for distinct personalities and types in all these different spaces? Because sometimes I just feel like maybe I ain't supposed to be there because of how God just made me. Because what I got in my head is, you want to win. God told you, you have good reasons for it. You are an amazing person running against somebody who the ops, like, he ain't even been from here. He ain't got no kids here. He got married a month before the election. Then that newspaper article come out about prostitutes and pastries. I don't know what the heck is going on. But when the head is in the hands, the nickinator, my natural tendency comes out. I'm like, did you eat? This me in my office. I'm sitting back looking like Frank Lucas. Okay, she on the phone on the little screen. I can see her. Now I got my head in my hands because the word overwhelmed done irritated me, my whole soul. I am completely objective, logical, reasonable, questioning, critical. Did you eat? She says no. Go downstairs to get an apple. Get something. I don't care. She go get something to eat. I said, cause look, brains that ain't been fed don't work right. What we got to do? She tells me we need this website updated. She tells me something about some social media things. She tells me something about some speeches she got to write. Okay, we gonna stay on this phone and get this stuff done, because don't nobody care about overwhelmed right now. And I don't know where that fits in this world of we need to rest and we don't work too hard, because I don't know about y'all. That's just not the lineage I have. And I'm not thinking about like enslaved Black people. I'm thinking about the folks from Benin and Togo and like pre colonization. Like, you got stuff you got to do. And sometimes that mean push through. Now, ain't nobody asking you not to eat. Ain't nobody asking you to not sleep. I get more sleep than anybody I know. I'm gonna get my 8 hours. Okay. My morning routine, 2 hours long. I I don't know what to tell you. But when you got a goal you trying to reach, what I look like being like, come on, let me come over there and hug you right now. What is we doing? We got an election to win. So anytime she was calling me talk about overwhelmed, honey, Nickinator activate. What we got to do, sis? Even the night of the election, she's like, do you have capacity? It's this long, like, voice memo. I hate voice memos, by the way. Like, just call me or text me, because the voice memo, I got to stop what I'm doing, press the button, and keep going away. So I listened to this voice memo, and it's something about, do you have capacity? She tell me all the stuff she got to do, and then she asked me to go get some food from Gates. I love this about her. True blue. We got an hour before the watch party start. Nicole, go get that Gates platter, right? Like, that's like, go get that platter, sis. Like, good. And so when I think about the way I've been designed, I've learned that everybody can't do it. Just like everybody can't do that thing you do, whatever it is. And is there space for all of it? Like, does God want us all to be true blue? Does God want us all to be the kind of person who, when people come at you, it has you like head in hand like this? Because if so, prostitutes and pastries wins. And it's like, no, that's not what we doing right now. And I think that when I take a look at what is happening at the national level, listen, any objective person can see this is insider trading. We all loved Martha Stewart. They got a whole movie about the woman on Netflix. She went to jail for the same thing. But when you evaluate what has led us to this point, first you get total immunity if you the president. Then you get an election after somebody done put a fraction of their dollars into it, but that fraction of those dollars is millions and really hard to overcome, right? And it's criminal. It's criminal. It's criminal. And when you think about what it takes to attack criminality, is it true blue personalities right now? I don't know. But I got asked, oh, by the way, I'm preaching at Living Water Church on Mother's Day. And that makes me think about a question I got asked yesterday, um, uh, specifically related to what my role could be in helping to create even just a new kind of church. And I laughed so hard I choked because when I think church, when I think what people think of as church, I think True Blue, I think Tanisha and David and Brandy. But what is happening right now to our collective group of folks is just, it needs a little nickinator. You know what I'm saying? It needs, and I don't know that I would describe myself as a mean person. What I will say is that empathy and accountability are not enemies, they are allies, they go together. And if goodness is going to prevail, it certainly ain't going to do so because we all just said, give me a pillow, right? Give me a pillow. Hold me while I got my head in my hands. I'm going to therapy today. I haven't been a couple weeks, so that might be why I'm saying some of these things, but I am interested in knowing, is there space for a person like me, a more Peter like approach to things in this moment right now? That yes, we need people like the Tanishas on the school board because she genuinely cares about people, she genuinely cares about children. But if what's coming at you is not that, is vitriol and hatred, where's the space for the Peter with the sword to be like, shh? And is that bad? Because I know sometimes when somebody walks over and I cause them to limp back, later when I'm doing the debrief, I feel bad. I feel like I did something wrong. You see, a couple weeks ago, we were engaged in some conversation with a gentleman who I deeply respect, actually. I think he's incredibly talented. I believe that he can envision things that other people can't. But I also think he's quite lazy. And he came to me, he was wanting to help bring to life up a project I was working on. That project didn't work out. So I said, all right, we gonna do this birthday party. By the way, if you want to come to my birthday party and I don't know that you would want to come, please send me a message. Cause child, I'm not good at parties and somebody gonna have their feelings hurt. And if you want to be there, I want you there. Okay. I want you there. Now, this guy, I'm telling you, I am not questioning his talent. I'm questioning his lazy. So we have a meeting. It's me, him, and Jocelyn. And if you're an entrepreneur, you understand this. You make a decision today, it got to be executed. Okay, you don't have. When I worked in corporate, I would take 2 years to put together a leadership development program. As an entrepreneur, sometimes somebody tell me they need something today. I got to have it by this afternoon. I got to pull from my resources to have it this afternoon because they want it next Friday, right? Like, entrepreneurship don't work like corporate. So I noticed that his timelines were more like corporate. So I then said, hey, I'm gonna need you to just kind of, truncate this. I can see that you're thinking about this from a corporate standpoint, like more like a corporate standpoint. I'm gonna need a detailed list of what your fee includes and when you're gonna do it by and what. I offended the man. He was clearly upset on the call. But I'll leave out some details. We get off the call. I'm heated, okay? And when I'm heated, it's obvious. I get an email that says, My ability to underestimate someone's intelligence is remarkable. And it said a bunch of other things. So I'm heated. Okay, did I say I was heated? I'm heated. I sit on it for a little bit. I ask all my true blues. By the way, Jocelyn is also a blue. And everybody thinks I should just ignore it. To me, ignoring feels like laying down and resting on a pillow sometimes. I read the Let Them theory. I read Cassie's poem. It's amazing. Radical acceptance is amazing. And if you walk over, you should limp back. Like, I don't know. And listen, I am open to the fact that I might be wrong about this, but I need more data points because all my true blues are telling me I'm wrong about this, and I'm trying to lean in. Even my chief advisor is like, Nicole, you know, the one line that's a little tough, and actually he calls me doc. You know what, doc? The one line that's a little tough might be the one line that causes somebody to get off the path. And I'm like, it. Listen, that's not how God made me to be. That's not how God made me to be. So after I slept all night, I woke up refreshed. I'm not angry anymore. And what is on my spirit is you need some coaching. So I took the email and I said, you know what? This was a good clap back. If your intent was to read me, you did a fantastic job at that. Good job. If you had asked me, if this was somebody else and I was a third party and you had asked me how to respond, here's how I would have responded. Here's some free executive coaching for you. And let me tell you, no heat. I ain't had no heat. None. So I take every sentence, including your ability to underestimate somebody's intelligence is remarkable. And I just, I gave like feedback on each line. This took me time. I put my time into this because again, I respect this person. And I'm like, if I owe you for the work you have done, please send me an invoice. I get an email back. The email back don't have no invoice. It's some more back and forth. I also got something that I'm working on. It's around masculinity and femininity. But sometimes when a man shows up in a way that's like bickering, because of patriarchy, social conditioning, whatever, sometimes I'm like, man up. That thing I got to work on. That's my thing. I be doing my work on a little culturally destructive uh, uh, continuum. Okay. So I got to work on that. So I recognize that's what that is. And then I'm not responding to that. Well, over the course of the week, my chief advisor's like, you shouldn't have done that. My friends are like, you shouldn't have done that. My Jocelyn is like, you shouldn't have done that. And Jocelyn's like, you got a lot to lose. And I'm like, basically, my executive coaching is amazing. And if you screenshot it, you can see how amazing it is, even in the email. It's kind of how I feel about it. But what my larger point is that sometimes we can't understand difference at a race level, this larger race level. We can't understand difference, honestly, good and evil level. We can't understand difference at male female level. We can't understand difference even at a religious level. I was at an amazing ground blessing last night. One of our board members is a Jewish person, wasn't even there. You know why he probably wasn't there? He was busy. But you know why I wouldn't have been there if I was him? Because the whole thing was just like over the top Christian, over the top Christian, over the top Christian. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, so if I'm Jewish, do I come to an over the top Christian thing, even when I've been a critical component of this work? I don't know if I do. And so to me, tactical empathy, or the hostage negotiators use, or mental cognitive empathy that like pimps use, sociopaths, therapists use it too. It is understanding what another person thinks, feels, or believes. It does not mean I become that. Because if we all happen to be the same, does Tanisha win that election? Because when dude who ain't even from here, who Clearly don't nobody even know about military record and the criminality associated with it. Clearly people don't care about the fact that you ain't never been around here. Some folk voting based on the shield. I don't know. But does she win if she's sitting around like this? Or does she need a nickinator to be like, girl, go get an apple, get your butt in this seat. We got how many things we got to do? 4 or 5 of them. Let's get it done. And is that leaning into the purpose that God has given me to do? And is that right? And or is that something that I need to change? Because I can tell you, I ain't never tried to make her be me. I ain't never tried to make my blues be me. What I do, though, is to recognize their blueness and know when it's something we need to elevate and when it's something that like this gonna get in the way of what we trying to get to. And why on God's green earth do I feel like a horrible Christian? Because I'm not blue. And that is the God's honest truth. I be sitting up here thinking like, okay, God is not pleased because I'ma smack you if you smack me. I really be thinking it like, okay, God mad at me. God know he ain't make me to take no smack. Ain't made me that way. Never. Never. And so I don't know. I'm gonna spend a weekend kind of watching some of these more liberatory preachers like the Frederick Douglass Haynes and the Alfred Street, what's his name? Howard John Wesley's, because child, I ain't blue. I'm not blue. Um, I'm not blue. And I think I want to be blue too. That's the other thing. That sometimes I sit around and just want to be like that person who their very first thought is, oh, look at this person and what happened to them. And let me show grace and let me show mercy. What's better for me actually is to be like, let me not say nothing. Because if I say anything, you about to get mollywopped. Now, last point I'm gonna make about this election. Um, was that a mollywhopping? I don't know if you know what the dictator Vladimir Putin's voting outcomes look like. You know, people don't even feel like they can vote against the man, and he be having like 88% of the vote. Tanisha got 86% of the vote. That's like dictator style. Citizens of Kansas City voted overwhelmingly to support the bond for the first time in 6 years, and I am 60 years, excuse me. And if y'all didn't see little Dawson Ford, that's my little mini me. I only have one kid for a reason because I tend to have favorites, and you ain't supposed to have favorites. But every parent I know, I can tell who your favorite is just by looking at your social media if you are not aware. And go back and watch these videos of little Dawson. I spent about, I don't know, 30 minutes or so teaching him how to be more like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, because he's just gonna be a just like his parents, just salt of the earth, good person too. And I was trying to teach him how to control the narrative. I taught him the art of the redirect. I taught him the bridge. And my goodness, I didn't teach him any answers to any of the questions, but he had been with his mama on the campaign trail. So he knew the answers to the questions in general, like he knew the bond hadn't been passed for 60 years. He knew people were saying, why was her opponent in this race? All these kinds of things. And by the way, that joker looked Tanisha in her face and told her he was running against her because he thought she was an easier win. That's 17,262 votes, 66 votes, excuse me. We don't want to lose 4 of the votes, demonstrates that she was not an easier win. And Edgar Palacio said, sometimes our opponent is not as close as we think. That is an astute point. And you know why, though? You know why our opponent is not as close as we think? Cause we strategizing, we working on websites, we using Dawson Ford. You know who can get you some votes? Some children. Watch those videos of Dawson, honey. I taught him those methods, and he executed them flawlessly when he was being press secretary. And then on the day of the election, I decided to go to one of the hardest precincts that she had lost in 2021. And boy, that was a tough crowd. One guy, honey, child, he was really upset. But there was a little boy there named Sonny, and Sonny was 7 years old, and his mother describes him as being autistic. I had just met him that day, but he was just like, vote yes for kids, vote for Tanisha. And child, I believe that the children got us some votes. And those kind of little strategic things, those kind of strategic things, those are the things that do make your opponent not be so close. Because people know a carpetbagger when they see one. And I just, my values are humor, justice, and competence. And my work that I'm going to do today in therapy, I only got an hour, child. I be needing like 2, 3 hours in therapy, is to just really talk about what does it look like? Because in my work, I noticed the Wall Street Journal just put something out today talking about DEI at Oracle, or I don't, what was it? DEI at Deloitte, maybe. And they were saying even the white employees and the black employees were unhappy in just that caption. What they did was equate race and race equity to diversity, and those are different things. And I just don't know if we can't figure out how difference can get along in things like just personality. um how can we figure it out on these bigger things like sexual orientation, religion, gender, race? I don't know, but I'll tell you this: that school board election results turnout. I went by the nursing home yesterday to see the old man, Mr. Richardson. And he's like, I saw your little friend won. And he was full of smiles. I said, you remember to vote for my friend? He said, yeah, the people came by. They got to early vote. And he said, Ford, right? That's the, yeah. I said, she won handedly. He said, decisively. And that decisively, I'm telling you, is not because we laying around with our heads in our hands. And that's the beautiful thing. When you are naturally empathetic, you take on the feelings of other people, and that, can sometimes cause you to be overwhelmed. But when you're not blue, you're more likely to have this cognitive empathy thing that goes, oh, I see what we doing here. I see what we doing here. And once I see what we doing here, battle is on. Like battle is on. And the art of war. Here we are. And I'm going to be in therapy using half my time to figure out if God is pleased or not. And if y'all got a private message that you want to send me, I'm open to it, because right now in my brain, I am slightly resistant to the suggestions that I got about my coaching email. I thought it was fine. Let me know what y'all think. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. We got work to do.